If you're an anime nerd and you want to achieve an aesthetic upper body but can't even do a single pull-up, then this is the video for you. Because today I'm going to show you every calisthenics exercise you need to unlock that Garo V-taper, those Toji arms, and that Baki chest. And we're going to be starting at the top with the shoulders. Now, if we're talking aesthetic anime upper bodies, look no further than the hero hunter himself, Garo, last name. And one of Garo's most prominent features of his physique is those boulder shoulders. To build aesthetic shoulders, there are three main areas that we need to target, starting with the middle deltoids. And the best fundamental exercise that you need to learn first has to be the pike push-up. Go into the downward dog position or a pike position and keep a continuous gaze between your hands. Just imagine that if you keep staring in between your hands, GTA 6 will eventually come out. Lower yourself down to the ground, keeping that pike position in your hips, then push yourself back up, pressing your hands overhead. You want to be careful not to move your elbows backwards, otherwise you take away a lot of effort from your shoulders. If you find pike push-ups to be too difficult, but you still want to develop your side delts, you can build up the strength with pike holds. Holds are great for challenging that shoulder stability, and you can elevate your feet to make it even more challenging. Focus on pushing your body away from the ground by shrugging your shoulders to your ears. Now, once you've mastered the basic pike push-up, we'll be able to start looking like Garo with this next progression, elevated pike push-ups. Same exact form as the pike push-up, only your feet are elevated above your hands. This brings more of your body weight above your shoulders, adding more load and thus more gains. But if you really want to blow up those side delts and start walking around like a Giga Chad, then you need to start doing wall handstand holds. Since now your entire body weight is stacked on top of your shoulders, your measly little pike holds have become far more challenging. It's the same exact form as the pike hold, only now you got to focus on embracing your core, bracing your glutes so that your body is straight all the way up and down. Once you get comfortable with those, you're ready to unlock the next progression, which is going to take your shoulders to a whole new level: wall handstand push-ups. Whether with the back to wall or stomach to wall variation, you're going to be pressing your entire body weight with just your shoulders. Putting these into my routine is what blew up my delts the most. It's basically combining the wall handstand hold with the pike push-up. And the form is the exact same motion as the pike. You want to slightly go forward so that you can continuously activate the shoulders while trying to keep that rigid core and body as straight as possible. But there is one exercise that I would argue is a massive sleeper for shoulders, and it's one of the exercises I still do to help my shoulders look like Garo's, and that's going to be wall walks. Starting from a push-up position against the wall, you climb up into a stomach to wall handstand. After holding it for a few seconds, you climb back down, back into that push-up position, and then repeat. Trust me, you only need to do 3 of these to actually feel it, and it feels pretty good. But everybody and their mother and their father and their brother and their sister, they're going to tell you, spam lateral raises. That's how you get the good shoulders. And if that's you, no shame, because I got you. Lean up against a wall, press your elbow against it, and you've got body weight lateral raises. All you need to do is push your elbow against the wall and feel your side delt activating. While it doesn't look as flashy as the other moves, it's super effective in isolating that middle shoulder. But if you're trying to get those anime level Garo shoulders, you can't just be training your side delts. We need to be targeting the entire shoulder, especially the front delts. And the best exercise to do that, in my opinion, is the pseudo planche push-up. It's like a regular push-up, but all you gotta do is add a little bit of lean. This is gonna put far more emphasis on your front delt when you do the push-up. Just make sure that you keep that lean consistent through the entire rep. And if you find these too easy, you can always lean more forward to make these more difficult. But if you personally can't do pseudo planche push-ups just yet, pseudo planche leans are a great substitute. They're going to work the front delt just the same, and they start developing your shoulder strength. Now let's not forget the last part of the shoulder, which is the rear delts. While not a show muscle, it is going to accentuate the rest of the shoulders. While there are many rear delt exercises, I find that you only need one: face pulls. Using some rings, bring your hands back towards your face as you squeeze your shoulder blades back and together. You should also be rotating your hands backwards as well, as if you're trying to scratch your back. Now, if I were to structure a shoulder workout based on these exercises, this is exactly what I would do. I would start with my vertical pressing movements to develop that middle shoulder, as that would be my main priority. Maybe some elevated pike push-ups, followed by a pike hold for endurance. Then I would start working on that front delt with those pseudo planche push-ups, hit those rear delts with some face pulls, and then as a finisher, do some bodyweight lateral raises. Now, I know we've only just gone over shoulders, and there's already tons of information that you've probably forgotten already, which is why I made you guys a free app that will not only give you a regression for any exercise you put in, but it will even give you at-home, zero equipment exercise substitutions for any exercise you want, even weighted ones like bench press. Just click the link in the description to unlock the Anime Trainer Assistant, so you're never gonna feel lost during a workout ever again. Now, shoulders, they're great, but everybody knows if you want an aesthetic upper body, you need the whole package. Look no further than Toji the Goat Fushiguro. One of the reasons he's got aura that everybody can feel is because his arms are just so jacked, like damn tree trunks, which is what we're going to be looking at next. There are 3 muscles of the arm that we need to look at if we want aesthetic arms, but it's no secret that one of the keys to developing aesthetic looking arm muscles is some huge honkin' biceps. And one of the best biceps exercises to ever exist is the humble chin-up. The reason these are so good is because you're giving your biceps an opportunity to work under a very heavy load, which is your entire body weight. You ain't curling none of those 10-pound weights. Get that crap out of here. All you do is grab a pull-up bar with an underhand grip, and as you pull up, make sure you really feel the contraction of the biceps and the stretch at the bottom as well. Now, for absolute beginners, chin-ups are going to be out of reach, but you can still work on those massive Toji biceps if you do chin-up negatives. A lot of people in my Shona Strength community love doing these because they mimic the chin-up, which helps you work towards the chin-up, and they still help to balloon up your biceps. But to unlock true aesthetics and really enhance the look of your biceps, it is not enough to do chin-ups. We need to be targeting the different heads of the bicep, which there are 2 of. That's why it's called the bicep. Fun fact. And we're going to start with the short head, which is that inner head and what gives us that peak. Look at that bad boy. And one of my favorite variations to do for the short head is wide grip chin-ups. Just take an underhand grip that's as wide as possible, and as you pull yourself up, you're going to feel a much stronger contraction and twist on the short head of the bicep. But we can't talk about biceps if we don't include some form of curling. What kind of gym bro would I be? Because isolation is the key to growth. And if we're targeting the short head, the best exercise for this is bodyweight bicep curls. Take a nice grip on the rings and bring your hands to your face. The goal should be to only bend your elbows while bringing your shoulders up slightly and then squeezing your biceps, twisting them outwards. This movement is going to be great for bicep peak, which is going to give you those taller biceps. But if you want not just bicep height, but also bicep thickness, then we need to shift our attention to the long head of the bicep, which sits on the outside of the arm. And my favorite exercise for this is close grip pull-ups. Take a pull-up grip, an overhand grip, but bring your hands as close as possible. Then drive your hands to your chest to making sure you get that squeeze again at the top of the rep. It helps to imagine you're trying to crush a walnut in between your biceps, which after this video, you're probably going to be able to do. Now, if you want a way to isolate the long head of the bicep, you should be doing pelican curls. Having the rings behind you does put more stretch on the bicep, which is great for growth, and that's going to be putting extra emphasis on that long head. Now, biceps are king when it comes to aesthetics, but when it comes to arm size, the triceps are undisputed, since they make up 2/3 of your whole arm, which is why we need to start doing diamond push-ups if we want our arms to be bigger. By getting a closer grip, you're shifting the emphasis from your chest to your triceps, targeting all of the 3 heads because it's triceps. Another fun fact for you: the long head, lateral head, and the medial head. If you wanted to emphasize aesthetics even further and target that cool I butchered that, and target that cool horseshoe muscle, which is the medial and lateral head, then Sphinx push-ups are the way to go. Get on your elbows and push your body away from the ground by just extending your arms. If you want to make it more difficult, bring your arms closer to your body. But if you want it to be easier, you can always push your arms away from your body. But if you more so want to focus on that tricep size, focusing on the long head is going to be the key. And my favorite exercise to do this is tricep extensions. Using a chair or table, get into a push-up position, almost a push-up position. Then by just bending at the elbows and bringing your arms overhead, lower yourself down into a deep stretch. You should feel it near the lats as well. Then push yourself back up. But it's not just Toji's biceps and triceps that make his arms so aesthetic. Toji has massive forearms, very thick, which is great because the forearms are one of the only muscles that you can show off in public without looking like a freak. Plus, having aesthetic, veiny, massive striations on the forearms, it's just everybody loves that. It's just so cool looking. And the best exercise for these, bar none, has to be towel pull-ups. The amount of crushing force that you need to do these trains the deep muscles in your forearms, and it gives a very aesthetic look. Pro tip, make sure to chalk up your hands before you do these. You're gonna thank me later. But if you have the grip strength of a baby with butter for fingers, you can start off with towel hangs. No pull-up required, so you can just concentrate on squeezing and mastering your grip. Now, a forearm exercise that I hold very dear to my heart that I still do to this day has to be false grip hangs. You put your hands into sort of fists and grab the bar on top with your wrists, kind of like this cat motion. Meow. And once you drop into a hang, you should feel a very tight contraction on your forearms. Then hold it for as long as you can. These are going to get very crampy when you first do them, but these will absolutely blow up your forearms. If you find these too hard to do, you can always do assisted false grip hangs, which is just false gripping with one hand at a time while the other hand is in a regular dead hang grip. Now, a typical arm day for me would look like this. Of course, I do some chin-ups to get that biceps pump, then follow that up with a set of diamond push-ups for those triceps. Then I would finish it off with isolation. Pelican curls to target the long head, tricep extensions for that arm thickness, and then some towel pull-ups to really finish the forearms and get a little bit more biceps in there as well. And pretty soon you're gonna have some aesthetic toji looking forearms, and they're going to be quite nice. Now, I could glaze toji forever. In fact, I will after this video is done recording. But I want to take a look at another aesthetic character, Baki. Baki is known for kicking gum and chewing ass, but more than that, he is known for his massive man chest, which is going to be our next focus. If we want to grow our chest with calisthenics, whether that's the upper, middle, or lower chest, we always have to come back to the classic push-up. The proper push-up form is very simple. Starting in a plank position, squeeze your shoulder blades together as you lower yourself down to the ground. Make sure your body is entirely rigid from ankle to shoulders. Then once your chest touches the ground, push yourself back up and then unsqueeze your shoulder blades. And a pro tip, when you lower down, aim to have your hands at about the nipple line. It's going to put more emphasis on your chest. Now, some of you won't be able to do some push-ups, and that is okay. What I recommend you do instead to work up to it is incline push-ups. You're just elevating your hands, which puts less weight on your chest, and you can do these anywhere like a chair, a table, or even a wall. The higher you put your hands, the easier it's gonna be. But for even more chest emphasis, to really get that Baki look, you should do this simple variation of push-ups, wide push-ups. The wide grip with your hands flaring out puts a lot more stress on the chest and less on your triceps. They also help to stretch your pecs out a bit more, and that's gonna help with the growth. But if we're talking stretch and talking about really growing the chest, you should definitely do some deficit push-ups. You give yourself more range of motion, which will make the push-up more challenging, but you also get even more stretch at the bottom, and it feels pretty damn good. But you probably don't just want a big chest. You also want a strong one like Baki too. Then explosive push-ups are going to be your forte. The goal is to push off the ground as fast as possible. Whether you're able to go high and clap your hands, or even just hover above the ground a little bit, make sure you just control your descent on the way down. Otherwise, you'll smash into your joints and you might get a Baki level injury in the shoulders. But by far the king of chest size and chest strength has to go to the one arm chest exercises. And my personal favorite to do is archer push-ups. All you do is take a wide grip and perform the push-up with one arm straightened out, alternating sides. You're going to automatically feel the weight shift one side at a time, and that's going to help develop your chest even more and make it even stronger. If those are too much for you, you can always start off with uneven push-ups by elevating one of your hands just to get used to pushing with one side at a time. But I think one of the most underrated chest builders in terms of equipment, it has to be the rings. Ring push-ups are a testament to that. Not only are they going to provide more range of motion, which means more stretch, but you're shaken. That instability helps to thoroughly challenge your entire chest muscles in a lot more ways than one. If you want an even more elite version of this, do Bulgarian push-ups. It's got even more stress and even more chest emphasis. Just be careful, these can be pretty stressful on the joints. Now, we've been targeting our whole chest with these exercises, but one of the most aesthetic parts of the chest has to be the upper chest, building that shelf. And decline push-ups are the best ways to target that. All you need to do is elevate your feet to a 15 to 45 degree angle, and this automatically changes your pushing angle, which allows you to target that upper chest. If you want to make this even more effective, add a deficit. And this is one of my favorite exercises that I still do to this day. But of course, Baki is more known for having a larger lower chest. So we're going to need to target that as well. And the absolute pinnacle of lower chest training has to go to the dip. Yes! Using a couple of chairs or any dip bars, lower yourself down to about 90 degrees or as deep as you can handle with a slight lean forward as well. Then push yourself back up, maintaining that lean. You're pushing your entire body weight with your chest. Of course it's going to grow. Of course it is. And if you want to take it to the next level, start doing ring dips, which is my preferred dip method. It's unstable. It feels scary. Feels like I'm going to die. That's why I love it. But if you wanted even more chest emphasis from the dip, straight bar dips are an underrated exercise to do. You can do this on a table. You can do these on a countertop. You could do these on a friend. I don't care. Now let's say I was designing a chest day workout. Here's how I would go about it. First, start with nice heavy dips, something to work the lower chest. Then I would start focusing on whole chest by doing some archer push-ups. Third, I'd want to shift attention to the upper chest, work on those aesthetics with decline deficit push-ups. Then finally, I would pump out high reps on ring push-ups just to get a final pump in and really finish off those pecs. Now when it comes to physical bodily aesthetics, anime characters are the way to go. But let's not forget other aesthetic characters in mangas and manhwas. And in the case of Daniel Park from Lookism, by golly, those back aesthetics are absolutely nuts. And one of my favorite muscle groups to work ever. The back plays a massive role in developing aesthetics because the lat muscles are the ones that create that gorgeous V-tape. And that's exactly what these first few exercises are going to focus on. And just a quick reminder, if you guys are forgetting any of these exercises, you know who I am. The Anime Trainer Assistant is going to solve that problem. Again, it's free. Click the link in the description. Now, the king of V-taper, I'm saying king of, there's a lot of kings in this video. The king of V-taper and lat dominance has to go to the classic pull-up. While these do target the lats, they also do a pretty good job at targeting the upper back, making it a good all-around back exercise. To do a pull-up, you first engage your shoulders by bringing them back and down, away from the ears, then drive your elbows down to the ground and into your sides, squeezing as hard as you can at the top, like you're squeezing a little pencil between your shoulder blades. Then you lower yourself down, not dropping down onto your joints, and then repeat for reps. But I know not everybody can do a pull-up, so I recommend starting off with jackknife pull-ups. Your feet are on the ground, so you've got way less weight to pull, but you still work the same muscles as a pull-up when you do these. So it's a win-win for everybody. But one of my favorite pull-up variations to actually get that V-taper, it has to go to the commando pull-up. Not only do these feel really good to do, but they help you to get a better stretch on the lats because your hands are closer together, and you just feel so cool. Alternating sides like some Battlefield Commander, doing this over and over again like I don't know. I feel cool when I do it. I'm cool, right? Right. Another one I love doing is wide pull-ups. The wide grip takes away some of the work that the biceps would otherwise be doing, making it great for isolating those lats even more. But there's one exercise that I spammed so much as a calisthenics beginner, and that would be neutral grip pull-ups. The neutral grip allows for a more comfortable wrist position, which will result in better back emphasis. They're slightly easier to do than pull-ups, so you can get even more reps in and you can get a better mind-muscle connection to your lats. But once you start getting advanced enough, the next step to enhance that V-taper is by doing more advanced variations. The first one you should consider working towards is the archer pull-up. Like the archer push-up, one arm is straight while the other one is working, which is going to shift your weight to one arm at a time. These are quite advanced, so I suggest starting off by doing some assisted one-arm chins. Far easier, and you can do these at any level depending on the amount of assistance that you use. Now, the V-taper is important, but having a thick, triple C thick back like Daniel Park is just as important. So we're going to shift our focus from working on the lats to working on that upper back with horizontal pulling movements. Inverted rows are the picture perfect exercise for these. They do target the lats, but they're much more effective at targeting the upper back. Like the pull-up, the goal is to activate the shoulder blades first, then drive your elbows down. And once you start getting stronger at that, you can move on to one arm row variations, which are honestly probably one of the most overpowered exercises you can do for your upper back. And as you get even more advanced, you'll be able to start doing front lever rows. Taking a tucked front lever position, perform an inverted row. Oh, wow, so easy. Since you have no feet support, all that body weight, that's being loaded onto your back, baby. That's what gives you that turtle shell back. That's what makes you invincible. That what's make you strong. But Kevin, what if I want to target my lats and upper back all at once? Well, as a matter of fact, you can. One of the best ways to do that is by doing front lever raises. Take a good grip, tuck in your knees, and pull your waist up towards the bar. This gets a good stretch on the lats. This works every part of your back. It's one of the best exercises you can incorporate for back development. And once you get good at those, you'll be able to do this next exercise, which is going to be targeting your whole back all at once. Super effective. It's the Gironda pull-up. You pull up into almost like a front lever raise and then pull yourself up to the bar as if you're doing a row. Then you come back down into a dead hang like a pull-up. One of the best back builders out there, I think Vince Gironda Rondo was onto something. I mean, look at how big he is. Now, building a back routine starts with challenge. So I always like to start with something like archer pull-ups. Then I'll get even more back activation with the Duranda pull-ups. I'd follow that up with some neutral grips just to rep it out. Maybe I'll fit in some pull-ups as well. Then finish it off with inverted rows to destroy that upper back. Okay, we've covered a ton of exercises, but there is one more set of character that I want to look at. And he's probably the king of looks maxing and aura farming. It is Sung Drip! Woo, baby. One of the best features of his upper body has to be those washboard abs. The narrow waist accentuates that V-taper even more, and who doesn't want a six-pack? And no, we're not going to do 100 sit-ups for it. We're going to be doing something even better. The trick to getting a smaller waist, besides losing weight and dieting of course, is to work a muscle called the transverse abdominis. When this thing gets stronger, it gets tighter. As it gets tighter, it functions like a corset. And to increase the transverse abdominis' strength, you need to do exercises that force you to resist bending your back, and this is known as anti-extension. The best exercise to start working on this is the hollow body hold. This is going to not only target your transverse abdominis, but also your entire core. On the ground with your arms extended and your legs extended, try your best to have your lower back touching the floor at all times. If there's a gap between your lower back and the floor, you're no longer working the transverse abdominis, you're just looking like a fool. But if you want the most effective abs exercise in the world that's going to target not only your transverse abdominis, but everything, then you have to do dragon flags. It's like your abs are on steroids. By keeping a straight line from shoulder to ankle, you're basically supporting your legs and pretty much your whole body with just your abs and a bit of your lats. And if you find these too difficult to do, you can always adjust the leverage by shifting your leg positions. Now, everybody knows planks work the abs, but if you want to make planks far more exciting and effective, do long lever planks. These are going to be much harder to do, and that's going to work the transverse abdominis even more, but they also target the serratus muscle, which is sort of that tiger claw on the sides of your abs, which is going to enhance your six-pack even more than it already is. But if I could give one more exercise for the transverse abdominis, an underrated gem, it would have to be ab rollouts. With these, the urge to bend your back is very strong, making it one of the best anti-extension exercises out there. Now, one of the most aesthetic parts of your core is actually the sides when they form that V-line near your waist. If you want to target those, do hanging around the worlds. The rotation perfectly aligns with these muscle fibers as you alternate sides and twist your body back and forth. If you want to take it up a notch and really get that V-line, try extending your legs when you do hanging around here. Of course, for even more rotation work, the most well-known exercise for this is going to be Russian twists. Great for doing high reps and developing that V-line. But we're not just here for a V-line, guys. We want that six-pack. And it all starts with the upper abs. Now, there's only one upper abs exercise that I do because I think the rest of them are trash. And that is going to be hollow body crunches. It's a lot safer because you're bracing your lower back against the floor, and you also get the same benefits as the hollow body hold. So you're gonna be training your core even more. But of course, we also need to develop the lower abs, which are notoriously hard to achieve. And one of the best exercises to do that is the toes to bar. Grab onto the bar, then lift up your legs and bring your toes to the bar. You should feel your pelvis tilt upwards towards your body, and that's how you know your lower abs are working. If you can't do those, then you should definitely consider doing leg raises instead. There's less range of motion and less flexibility required, making it more beginner accessible, but again, focus on tilting your pelvis upwards. Even if that's too much for you, you can always do knee raises. It's the same motion, just less heavy. I mean, if you really want to, you don't have to hang at all. You can work your lower abs by doing lying leg raises. I find these much more beginner friendly, but just as effective. So these are a no-brainer. But the king of all lower abs exercises, this is the last king, I promise. It has to be the L-sit, a testament to calisthenics core strength. It is your measure of skill, strength, and discipline as a beginner calisthenics athlete. And if you can do these, you've unlocked a whole new realm of training for everything. And all you gotta do is just bring your legs up, hold it for as long as you can. Now for abs, I generally program these a bit differently. I like to start off with something nice and heavy like dragon flags, then move on to some fundamental movements like toes to bar and the hollow body hold. Then I transition it to a more circuit style of training by finishing it off with 3 rounds of hollow body crunches, hanging around the worlds, Russian twists, and lying leg raises. But the problem is that if you were to use the program that I just gave you, working each muscle group once per week, you would never achieve an aesthetic upper body. That's because in order to get a proper anime physique, you need to have proper structure. So watch this video right here if you want the exact program to unlock an anime physique in as little as 90 days.